Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I am Merle Bland, the Candidates Forum moderator for the Wyandotte County primary election 2021. I am with Business West, the lead sponsor of the forum, along with Kansas City, Kansas Community College. The focus on the forum has been on the commissioner's race and now will be on the mayor and chief executive officer. The two panelists so far will be Eleanor Jefferson, Groundwork Northeast Revitalization Group, and J.D. Rios, a former community college trustee and a public educator. Candidates will have 2 minutes to make opening remarks. Candidates are reminded this is not a debate, and candidates are urged to stick with the issues. Our first candidate for mayor for opening remarks will be the incumbent, David Albee. Mayor. Mayor Albee.
Thank you very much. Oops.
Mayor, you're having some technical difficulties.
By phone, but I can't get a connection to. Can you hear me now?
Yes. We lost you again. I'm sorry, Mayor, we lost you again. I just want you to be aware.
Is that working now?
I heard you now.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, I hear you now, Mayor. I think you're good.
Are you able to check? Thank you. Well, I just want to say, first of all, thank you as mayor. Oh my, let me move around here. Thank you. Let me try a different spot. Okay, we'll try it again. Okay. Again, I want to say thank you for hosting this forum. My background has been my professional life. I'm a coach and administrator, but in my public service, I served on the Planning and Zoning Commission for 5 years. I served on the Board of Public Utilities for 8 years. And in that role, I was named the Fred Utilities for outstanding service by an elected official to municipal utilities, public utilities across the state of Kansas. When I was on the BPU, I served on the Economic Development Finance Standing Committee, so I understood how economic development projects move forward, how they should not move forward. I'm proud of all that we've been able to do. I always take an honest and straightforward approach to our problems. I don't shy away from things. I state them as I think they are, and people inform me if I'm wrong. So over the past 3 years, it's always a continuing challenge for economic development in our county. We succeeded greatly in that. There's just this past year during COVID, we had over $900 million in development, and that was 25% of all the development in the state of Kansas. Many of those projects will generate tax revenues immediately to our local governments and our schools. Very necessary. And finally, I would say that the COVID challenge, I'm very proud of how we responded to that. Immediately, we tried to get out in front of this. My overriding concern continues to be, am I doing everything I can to protect the residents of Wyandotte County, their lives and livelihoods? And I also am proud of the way we responded to the death of George Floyd. We did a thorough survey of our law enforcement practices and policies and training in Kansas City, Kansas, Wyandotte County, and found that we were doing quite a bit. That what would happen to Mr. Floyd could not or should not happen here based upon all that we are doing. Having said all that, there are still so many challenges moving forward. I'm going to continue and talk about in later moments the challenge of redeveloping our Northeast. That's fun.
Mayor, I just want you to be aware that you are not, we're not hearing you.
I'm just curious, are we all going to have a 2-minute intro?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to ask if we can just move forward, because I would like to make certain that we all get heard, but I would also like to just inform you guys that we have another forum at 6 o'clock, and this seems to be a long introduction for our mayor. Okay.
Why don't we move to Darren Duffy? Darren?
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Fantastic. Then my name is Darren Duffy. I am running for mayor of KCK, Wyandotte County CEO. I am a Jesus follower. I am a conservative, and I am not a politician. I am, however, a constitutionalist. I believe in our rights and our freedoms, and I don't believe that any governing body should have the ability to infringe upon or take those freedoms away. That being said, if elected mayor, my intentions are to find out who the people are that are working in the current government, and to find out who is not serving the best interests of the community, the best interests of Wyandotte County, the people very specifically, and to replace them with people that will. Additionally, I intend to audit the UG and, as much as possible, the BPU, and find out where our money is going, find out why we haven't been able to fix our streets or open our pools, find out, exactly what the issues are, and then work at fixing those very specifically. Last on the list, but probably the most important, I intend to focus our attention back onto the inner city, back into our communities and our neighborhoods, and to make our people, the people that live here, the priority. Fixing their streets, again, making sure that the pools are open, making sure that we have the things that we need as a community. And I trust that August 3rd, those sentiments will be shared by the vast majority of the people in this county, and they'll vote for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we will go to Tyrone Garner. Tyrone?
Hello, how's everybody? And thank you for having me. I am Tyrone Garner, and I'm running to be the mayor of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas Unified Government. I bring to you a track record of success in both appointed and elected public service, and at least 32 years in that regard. I graduated from Wyandotte High School, and from that experience in public service and throughout my years, I've learned that Wyandotte County is made up of a diverse group of residents that just want a safe and resilient community to call home. As a dedicated dot, I believe Wyandotte County can transform into one of the best cities to live in the nation. We just need aggressive transformational leaders and a strong coalition to improve all conditions and socioeconomic conditions throughout all of Wyandotte County. As a public servant, I saw firsthand many of the worst conditions and circumstances thrust upon our citizens. I watched, sometimes in disgust, as some in the community beg for the goods and services that no taxpaying resident should have to beg for. Too often, there were very few who stepped forward to help these citizens. This campaign has decided that enough is enough. Opportunity and success does not have to be seen as only available for those in an establishment of the connected few. Success can and must permeate throughout all of Wyandotte County. This campaign is standing with those that are demanding engaged leadership, fair taxes, lower utility bills, equity in the delivery of goods and services, reform public safety, enhance governmental transparency, a streamlined government, a strategic COVID-19 recovery plan, responsible corporate tax break, support for small business and entrepreneurs, investment in the disinvestment, jobs that pay a livable wage, equitable infrastructure enhancement, restructured youth programs, a dedicated platform for residents to voice praise or concerns to their elected body, housing that is affordable, removal of nickel and dime governmental fees, diversity within government leadership, and a government administration office that is more accountable and controlled by the mayor and the commission, as well as an audit from top down of the BPU and the unified government to find and see if there's fraud, waste, and abuse to bring about a more efficient and more effective government to the residents and taxpayer of Wyandotte County. I believe that I have a track record. I know I have a track record of success and all that I've done throughout my public service, and I'm leadership ready. So thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll move to Chris Steininger. Chris?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Chris Steiniger. I'm a candidate for mayor. I have a long history in the community myself. I was born here in 1962 in the old Bethany Hospital. I've been a community volunteer since I was about 8 or 10 years old, starting at the old Grinter house out on K32, where my mother would take me when I was a little boy to have me do chores when Grinter House first became a historic site. I later did volunteer work when we had the Great Flood in '93. I helped people move out of their trailer homes, and I helped throw sandbags down at the BPU water treatment plant to save the water treatment plant. I helped do tornado cleanup back in the early 90s when the tornado came through up along Leavenworth Road. I've served on numerous community boards of directors and just done a lot of volunteer work in the 90s, 2000s, et cetera. In 96, I was elected to the state senate up in Topeka, representing the south half of the county. Turner, Argentine, Rosedale, Muncie, Morris, Armourdale, and Edwardsville, and I served 16 years there. I learned a lot about our state. I learned a lot about public policy. I learned a lot about how to work with people from all over the state, all walks of life, to get bills passed and get things done. I was part of the small group of legislators that got the incentives to bring the Kansas Speedway and the Legend Shopping Center. And then later, I was the prime mover to casino gaming legislation passed in the legislature, which was a very conservative legislature at the time and against gambling. And I got the bill passed, and the Hollywood Casino out there is a direct result of my 10-year effort to get that passed. I've been involved in local politics, but never in local government. And I'm really concerned about excessive spending between the BPU and the UG. This has been an ongoing problem for 30 years. I've knocked doors all over the community for 20 years and listened to what people have to say. And they're just sick and tired of the property taxes. They have been for 30 years. And now they're sick and tired of the BPU bills and all the surcharges that are added on there. I've studied these governments for a long, long time. 20 years or more. I was part of the original group of people that pushed for the old city-county consolidation that was done 18 years ago. The BPU was left out at that time for political considerations. And it's time that final chapter of that consolidation needs to happen. There's a lot of duplicated waste and expense that's borne by the ratepayers and taxpayers here in Wyandotte County between UG and BPU. There's a lot of duplicated departments, duplicated personnel, and duplicated salaries. And I think those savings need to be given back to the taxpayers whose money it belongs to. I know it needs to be done. The audits have been done. I've got boxes of evidence I've kept for 20 years on these two agencies. So I already know it needs to be done, and I'm willing to do it. I don't have anybody. I have no relatives on the payroll at UG or BPU whatsoever. So I don't have anybody that I need to protect. So I think with my business background, I think I can be the guy to deliver on the goods. These long forestalled promises of lower taxes that we've heard so many years and it never has happened. I'm the guy to do it. I'm willing to do it, and I have the intelligence and the willpower to do it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Janice Witt.
Hi, I'm Janice Witt, and we've heard all of these stories before. We know exactly what is wrong with Wyandotte County. The question isn't what's wrong. At this point, we know it's wrong. The question is who's willing to stand up and fix the problem. My name is Janice Witt, and I am prepared, ready, educated, dedicated, honest, and courageous. I am a small business owner who seeks to represent and continue to serve the people of Kansas City, Kansas, with empathy, fairness, sound common sense, governance, and good economic management. I strive to ensure inclusion and benefit for all of the people of Wyandotte County, because all citizens really do matter. And that's not something that we're saying, that's the truth. So I ask that you would vote for Janice Witt, who has stood by your side for the last 20 years during storms. We were there during COVID. We were there. We aren't throwing out some magical gift or award that was supposedly given that no one knows about. We were visible. We were handing food out to the community as first responders. I will continue to do that as your mayor, because it is important that your mayor is seen. It is important that we know that Kansas City, Kansas has our own mayor, not Quentin Lucas, and that our mayor is not afraid to stand up for us in every way, even when fighting COVID. Thank you.
Now we will go to the questions. Candidates will have 1 minute to respond, and those asking the questions will have the right for follow-up questions. Our first question will be from Mary Rupert from Wyandotte Daily Online. Mary?
Mary, you're muted.
Mary?
Thank you. What are your top priorities in spending the $87 million the UG is receiving in federal funds?
We'll first go to Janice Witt. Janice?
First, I'd love to know about those federal funds. If those federal funds are truly being delivered to us, and I pray they are, those funds should immediately go into reducing our taxes, absolutely reduce our property taxes, and helping with our seniors who are literally dying in their homes, and our youth who are dying in our $6 million plus prison for babies.
Okay. Chris Steiniger, your response to that question.
Well, Janice and I agree that tax reduction is a priority. I think that the federal government has put strings on how that 87 million is spent, and most likely they don't allow direct tax reduction. So what we have to do is kind of replace revenue, cut taxes with local government revenue, and then use the federal government as a replacement. So I don't favor spending any more money than we're already spending. So we'll have to use our own money to provide property tax relief, and then use the federal money. If I were thinking about it, I would use it to stimulate the economy and get people back to work. When people are working, they have more money in their pockets and they have self-destiny. If you have money in your pocket, then you can control your own choices and you can control your own destiny. When the economy was shut down due to COVID or due to politicians, a lot of people lost their job and they resorted to crime. And we've seen crime up all across the country. So my first priority would be, let's get people back to work, back to earning a paycheck, back to controlling their own destiny, and also to reduce property taxes.
Tyrone Garner, your response.
Well, I think the first thing we need to do is we need to look at the that 87 million plus, and we need to educate the community. We need to educate the community on what is in that plan, what it entails, what it allows for. But the major things we need to look at is poverty. Wyandotte County has one of the largest percentages of poverty anywhere that can be found in the metro. Homelessness. There are people suffering from utilities due to loss of jobs or other issues. Looking at how we can apply those funds to help people offset their utility bills that they may be struggling with, as well as rental assistance. Small businesses have been hit the hardest. We need to look at entrepreneurs and small businesses and see how we can help them in using those funds to leverage their resources and the resources of the federal government, and bridge that into jobs for individuals that have lost jobs. And before they even get those jobs, look at educational opportunities for our young folks as well. I would like to see a blue ribbon panel come together of key stakeholders in all the key industry areas, be it education, health, business, as well as government and our administration, and sit around the table with citizens and come up with a solution that works best for Wyandotte County. So I think it has to be a comprehensive plan, but those are the main places that I would be looking at applying those funds, as well as infrastructure.
Darren Duffy, your comments.
$87 million for this county seems like probably the best place to begin would be finding out the people that are most vulnerable. A lot of our elderly, as has been mentioned earlier, are really struggling coming through COVID. Some of them are on fixed incomes and adjusting or fixing their BPU bills with that money to kind of offset some of the struggle that they're dealing with. Also, very specifically, something that I've noticed in talking with a lot of our retired vets, we have a lot of veterans that are really struggling in this county. And I think it'd be time to a really good time to step up and take recognition of them and let them know that we appreciate them and see what we can do as a community to thank them, to back them up, to support them. I've also been to several of our fire stations and have seen some disrepair, seen some things that were desperately needed, and I don't think have been taken care of in quite some time. And I think dealing with the people that serve our communities, that protect us, whether it's fire or police, I think it's really important. Really important to take a look at what they need. Coming through this crisis, as many have said, crime is up. It seems like that would be a good place to put some of that money. Maybe an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So we take care of our firemen, we take care of our police, we kind of take care of part of the other problems. But it's only a few solutions, a few things that we can touch on. I'm sure there are very many more, but that's it. Thank you.
Mayor Alvey, your remarks.
Sorry, I was just came back on. I did not get the question.
The question was, what are your top priorities in spending the $87 million the UG is receiving in federal funds?
Right. So, well, the priorities are going to basically come down to, based upon community input, trying to replace lost revenues that the unified government experienced over the past year. Lots of things we didn't fund up. For instance, we're not able to hire a cadet class of 24 or candidate class of 24 police officers. We want to make sure we can come back in and fill those positions, especially for public safety. The good news in that regard is that the murder rate is down by about a third, as is, for instance, shootings into dwellings is down about a third from last year. But of course, there's so much more across the community. And so we will be conducting a public hearing, looking for community input in the next couple of weeks to say what is the priority of the community in trying to distribute those funds. So we certainly know that there are a lot of our service providers, social service providers who have needs. Certainly our businesses, we're able to give them some assistance. We're able to get some banks come on board and make loans over the past year. It was very, very helpful. But we have to, again, make sure that we get these things to the right place. Personally, I think we have to put more money into our infrastructure. When people say they look at Johnson County, they say, why does it keep growing? And it's because they have good infrastructure. The place looks good, it feels good, and they continue to attract businesses and residents. As our infrastructure continues to deteriorate and fall apart, that's simply going to discourage investment in Wyandotte County. We've got to bring more people in. We've got to bring more businesses in to expand that tax base. And so for the long term, that'll be catalytic for us. So I would like to see personally more money going to our infrastructure, which is woefully underfunded.
Next, we will go to Elnora Jefferson for the next question. Elnora?
You need to unmute.
Unmute. Elnora? Elnora, are you there?
We can't hear you.
Okay. JD, can you take the next question, please?
Okay. My question is, do you stand in support of or in opposition to the community-led, safe and welcoming ordinance and municipal ID? Why or why not?
We'll start with Mayor Alvey. Mayor?
Thank you. I would suggest, first of all, that a 1-minute response to that is really not adequate because it's fairly complicated. I certainly support, as needed, a municipal ID. If we can discover and demonstrate that, in fact, there are people who are not able to access services because they do not have an ID, then we need to find a way to do that. And we've explored options. I think the best option actually is an agency that actually provides banking services and an ID at the same time, so that it actually helps people get banked. Then they've done this in other communities, it's been very successful, and frankly, it pays for itself. There's no burden on the taxpayers. As far as the non-compliance with ICE, we have agreed to and signed off on, approved, the commission has, to work with to receive Department of Justice grants, and those grants, as part of their criteria, require that you cooperate with other agencies and law enforcement. And so we've already signed off on those grants and accepted that money. I'm not going to bring an ordinance that actually violates the terms of our agreement. That would simply, I think, be disingenuous. I signed off on it. I said we would do this. But I will say this, people need to understand, our law enforcement does not enforce immigration. They do not cooperate with ICE on immigration enforcement. They do not, they cannot, they will. That has to be said. And I would ask that those who support this, please communicate this to the community. Our law enforcement is not doing this, has no plans to do it, and does not want to do it. Thank you.
Darren Duffy, your response.
As far as safe and welcoming goes, I think our primary question should be, do our citizens feel safe and welcomed in their own community first? It's always going to be about the people that are here first. The big question comes with some of the verbiage, people being called illegal, and it's less about who they are and more about their actions. People are valuable, but we are a culture full of laws, and those laws require action. If you are coming into this country, you're coming into our county, into our city, you need to have the paperwork. Now, that's all we require. Have the paperwork, do it the right way. And if you are doing it the right way, then there will never be any issues. Thank you.
Tyrone Garner, your response.
Well, irrespective of any current agreements that are there, I think that the people I've talked to in the community on this issue, specifically in the Latino community, they want the unified government to take a strong, firm position on this topic. So irrespective of any agreements that may be out there, I think it's incumbent on the mayor and the unified government to listen to the people. And the majority of the minority community in Wyandotte County say they support a safe and welcoming ordinance. So I stand with those people. I support it. Documented or undocumented, they are residents of Wyandotte County. They contribute to Wyandotte County in a variety of ways. There are a lot of businesses that they support. A lot of these residents pay taxes. They want to feel safe and they want to feel welcome. Often they are victims of crime. They want to feel safe and know that they can have a bridge to law enforcement without having to worry about any retributions, whether that's real or perceived. That's where the unified government come in and reassure them our position and where we stand. I believe that all of our residents, undocumented or documented, have a God-given right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As your mayor, if elected, I will move forward to put that on the agenda for review and debate by the commissioners, and hopefully working with them to let the will of the people reflect in that direction.
Chris Steininger, your remarks.
Chris, you're muted.
That happened. How about now?
Yeah,
You're
good.
okay.
So Darren Duffy said it correctly. Do our own citizens feel safe? And there's quite a few of them that don't. I door knocked last night in a neighborhood, a nice, quiet, middle-class neighborhood where an older man was ran over by young people riding a four-wheeler illegally on the street, and they just ran him over and kept on going. So this happens, these kinds of instances happen in our neighborhood. So I tend to go with our residents first. If you've been living here for a few years or a couple of generations, I think we need to look out for those residents first. They're my primary concern. My primary concern is always the little old ladies living alone in old neighborhoods. That's how I always think of first when I think of the most at-risk people in Wyandotte County. My own personal belief, if you want to make Wyandotte County more welcoming, then listen to what the people have been saying. I've been door knocking around here for 25 years. When I door knock, I usually do 4,000 to 5,000 door knocks per session. I've done 1,500 door knocks in the past 6 weeks. I listen to what people are saying. And it's the property tax and it's the BPU bills. That's what everybody's talking about. I've door knocked 1,500 times, JD, maybe more than that in the past 6 weeks. And maybe 2 people have asked me about welcoming Wyandotte, but hundreds and hundreds are concerned about the property taxes and the BPU bills. So that's what I'm focusing on. That's the way to make this county more welcome. When Merle Bland was a really young guy starting a newspaper, people were complaining about property taxes and they moved away. When Mary Rupert was a young reporter at the Kansan, people were complaining about the BPU bills and moved away. So I think the most welcoming thing we can do for all of us, regardless of what race you are or what neighborhood you live in, is once and for all, listen to what the people have been telling us for 20 years or more. Lower our taxes and lower our BPU bills. So that's what I'm going to focus on.
Janice Witt, your response. Janice, you're muted.
Okay, well, the most important thing that I see that Wyandotte County needs is love. We need a little bit of love from our leadership, a little bit of honesty from our leadership. Most importantly, we need our leadership to be present, and it has not to this point. I support safe and welcoming, except I think it doesn't go far enough. What we have to do is broaden it to include all of our citizens. We want all of our citizens to feel safe and welcoming, what I call warm and welcome Wyandotte. That's very important. But when you have a leader that is missing, and when you have our votes that are supposed to be represented by commissioners who are supposed to vote our needs and our desires, who are out of reach, out of touch, we have no way to communicate to them what our constitutional right is of representation for taxation. So I support warm and welcoming, safe and welcoming, but I think that it needs to include everyone in our community. And I think that we probably need to go back and look at it, because the reality is that it has been on the table for 4 years. Promises have been made to the people of this community, to the people who safe and welcoming truly matter, to people who are living in basements, to people who are moving on the shadows of this community, people who are afraid to walk out of their homes. I know, because I feed these people. I feed them daily with great pride. I let them know they are safe with me. Safe and welcoming starts with the people next door. Safe and welcoming starts with the heart. It cannot be legislated. I do not believe for 1 minute that having signed whatever agreement, obviously that was not brought before the people before it was signed to allow the feds to come in and do whatever they're doing for this grant money. Obviously, those funds have been utilized already. Nothing we can do about it. But if the reality is that comes up again, we need to be certain that our leadership is not voting for things that they cannot understand, that our leadership just stated that they may regret having signed, but nonetheless, that's the way it is, and we're stuck with it. So I believe in warm and welcoming. I believe that we need to do it with every neighbor. I do, my husband does, everyone that stands in our lines for food, do it, because it is my job to ensure that the person in front of me, the person behind me, that they feel warm and welcome. I believe we need to put the heart back in KCK. I believe that we are the only ones that can do it. That means that when Chris is still in my stuff, Chris, I love you, man. But the fact is, we have to stand together and we have to look at one another and say, you know what? We'll work together to make this thing right. I don't care what party Chris is in. If Chris comes to me with the need, I'm pretty darn certain that Chris knows I'm going to be there for him. And that's what is warm and welcoming. That is what is safe and welcoming in Wyandotte, not politics. We've had enough of that for way too many years. I'm tired of playing the games. What we need is to deal with people. We need to represent our people. We need to hear them. We need to be present. We need to know that they are afraid, that they are in fear, that our leadership is not giving them good guidance, and that they are reaching across the river to the east to get guidance because our leadership is failing us here. Thank you.
Now we'll move to closing remarks, and we will start with Janice Witt. Janice?
Okay, well, first of all, I just want to thank everybody. I have so enjoyed this. Darren Duffy, you are just a bright light. I've been doing this so long that it is just, it's frustrating, you know, to be the only joyful person. So I'm very happy that you decided to do this. And I mean that from my heart. And Chris, my God, you know, guy, you're like my other husband. You know, they were making fun of us for the other night where we were just kind of joking around. At some point, we have to move beyond ourselves and say what is best for this community. And I think that the best thing for this community has nothing to do with the party. I think it has to do with people. I think that we got to love each other. We got to respect each other. We have to be willing to speak the truth to each other in love and then see an action to change the malbehavior. That's what I think. And that's what I'm going to close on. But in my goal politically to reduce taxes and the BPU pilot, I'm here to do a thing. I am here to increase services and decrease the abatements. You cannot spend more money than you bring in. I am here to renew confidence, trust, and transparency in leadership, to renew infrastructure development, to ensure fair and equitable treatment for all of our community, no matter what color, no matter what language. I'm here to increase youth and adult services and enrichment. My promise is to bridge the gap, to bring truth, fairness, accountability, transparency, and service from a caring leadership. It is my duty, my job to love you. That is my job. I'm putting the heart in KCK. That's all I'm about.
Thank you. Chris Steiniger, your closing remarks.
Yeah, well, thank you. My number one goal for elected your mayor is to follow through on what people have been asking for years and years and years, and that's lower my property taxes and lower my BPU bills.
That's right.
So I'm very dedicated to those two goals. People all over the county complain about this, and they have for years, and I've heard their voice. I've studied local government here, even though I was never elected in local government. I've studied local government here for a long, long time. I have several file boxes full of old audits and old proposals going back 30 years. So I know it needs to be done. And we need to finish the consolidation that we started 20 years ago when we merged the city and county. And we need to finish that out and give the savings back to the taxpayers whose money it belongs to. I will also try to focus on getting the economy going again. We had a great economy in 2017, 2018, and 2019. Everybody that wanted to work was working. And when you have a job, you have money, you can control your own destiny, you can make your own choices. And I think that's a really important component of freedom that American people enjoy. They want to have self-control of their own destiny. So I want to get the economy going back again. I want to get people back into the jobs they had before, so they at least have their own money, and also, keep themselves off the streets and out of trouble. So those will be my top goals, is to get us back to work, get our property taxes cut down somewhat, get our BPU bills cut down as well. And I think we'll be able to get more businesses in here with lower tax rates. And I think with giving people back their jobs and more money in their own pockets for them to decide how to spend is the ultimate in freedom.
Tyrone Garner, your remarks.
Well, thank you again. As we stand at the crossroads of what Wyandotte County can and should be, the people I've spoken to do not believe that we can truly become a great community until the dividing lines of economic segregation is dismantled. There should not be a difference in what success looks like, feels like, and can be like as you move from east to west within our community. We must ask ourselves, have we enjoyed positive progress, lower taxes, reduced BPU bills, and most importantly, engaged leadership? Are we better off as a community, and have we made meaningful progress in the areas that have the potential to really improve lives? This campaign believes we can do better. We envision with optimism that with fresh leadership, the potential for success to permeate throughout all of Wyandotte County can become a reality. Together, we can be committed to fostering a UG administration that is better accountable to the elected body, streamlining government, supporting our small businesses, making sure that people have fair taxes, a reformed public safety, investment in the disinvested areas of our town, and again, engage leadership. My leadership principles are clear, and they're based on this simple premise. Is it in the best interest of all our residents, and will it be of value to our Wyandotte County taxpayers? I've said it again, this election isn't about me. It's about all of us working together and improving Wyandotte County together, doing and working together collaboratively. Collaboratively, we can change systems within an establishment that has been really ignoring many of our hardworking families and enriching some of the big businesses at the expense of our taxpayers. For change to occur, this campaign recognizes that collectively must wield the power we have to make a difference. I'm asking everyone out there that's watching to join this campaign. Go to my website at garnerformayor.com. And if it resonates with you, that platform that was not developed by me, because it isn't about me, it was developed by you, the people, on what things were important to you. I ask that you vote on August 3rd. I'm committed to doing all I can to turning the dreams of today into the realities of tomorrow. Again, I'm Tyrone Garner. I ask that you please join me in reimagining a Wyandotte County that will work for everyone equitably. Thank you.
Darren Duffy, your closing remarks.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. It is a pleasure to have been in this race for the most part. The interesting thing about all of this, and Janice hit on it, is we do all have to work together. I think everybody kind of mentioned it. It is a collaborative effort, but I think what is missing is a lot of integrity in the office. People are the most important part of all of this. Is people over politics. We are here as public servants, not as leaders per se, but as servants to the people in the community. I think many people inside the political arena have forgotten their job. They've forgotten what they were called to do. They forgot what they were elected to do. And that task, that responsibility is to serve the people, And we hear a lot of the same stuff from politicians, and we're always going to hear it. We continue to elect politicians, and we're going to continue to get the same exact thing. It's time to do something different. It's time to do something to change the paradigm. And that's going to be not electing politicians. It's going to be putting people in office that have a passion for the community, a passion and a heart for the people that live here, and focusing our attention on, as has been mentioned, bringing our taxes down, making life here in Wyandotte something that we can all embrace and be a part of. So I'm asking on August 3rd to vote for Darren Duffy for mayor, a non-politician. Thank you.
Mayor Albee, your remarks.
Thank you. So I just want to say, first of all, thank you for hosting this forum for the past 4 years, 3.5 years. And, before this, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get my introduction because I was not able to access, but just want to go back over some highlights. First is I served for 27 years in education as a teacher, a coach, an administrator, and really very much enjoyed that, and decided to run for mayor because I believed that I could really make a difference in our county and our city. And I believe we've done that. I have plenty of experience. I served on the Planning and Zoning Commission for 5 years. After that, I served on the Board of Public Utilities for 8 years. And during that time on the Board of Public Utilities, I was recognized with the Fred Deal Award by Kansas Municipal Utilities for outstanding public service by an elected official. And I would ask that if you're interested in that, please go look for the Fred Deal Award and see the remarks that were made about why I was given that award. I am proud of what has happened in the past 3 years, in spite of what the challenges we faced. No one certainly could have predicted a pandemic, a worldwide pandemic. In my time, my primary consideration has been throughout the pandemic, am I doing everything I can to protect the citizens of Wyandotte County, their lives and livelihood? Very early on, when the virus first hit, we were simply being able to get information that it was happening elsewhere. It was happening in Italy or New England, in England or in New York City. And based upon what we saw happening there, we took necessary measures to stop the spread of the virus. In fact, if we had been more aggressive at that time, we would not be having the problems we're seeing now with the spread of the Delta variant. And no matter what anyone says, the most important factor in causing a decline in economic activity, business activity, frankly, is people's fear of the virus and those who are getting sick and not being able to participate. That's the primary factor. All the data shows the primary factor in slowing business activity is actually people's own experience of the virus itself. I think we also handled the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis very well. There were many calls from throughout the community to want to know what we were going to do to respond. And I launched immediately a task force to explore just exactly what policies and practices are in place in law enforcement in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, because we did not want what happened to Mr. Floyd to happen here. And I'm very pleased with the results that task force made up of community members in collaboration have discovered. And that is, we have been doing quite a bit and are continuing to do more in our training and our policies to make sure that what happened to Mr. Floyd does not happen here. I've always taken an honest, straightforward approach to all of the work that I've done. I would not have been able to be dean of students, the disciplinarian at Rockhurst High School, if I'd been anything but honest and straightforward. That is, in fact, what I look to. That's my gold standard. Our residents deserve that, and I've done that consistently. And finally, I'll just end with the economic development that we've experienced in Wyandotte County in 2020. During the COVID crisis, the unified government in Wyandotte County, we experienced over $900 million in economic development. And that economic development is all across the county. It's not just centered out west. It's not just logistics. It's really all across. We now have new shopping opportunities with not only the Menards out west, but a new one coming in the south side. We have the new Merck grocery store downtown. We have the Boulevard Lofts, the newest, latest apartments being built in our inner city. And there's more to come. We do have a plan to move forward to continue to develop. We have to be aggressive to redevelop our Northeast area because that continues to be a hole in our tax base. As we bring in more residents, and our population has increased 7,000 over the past decade, and bring in more businesses, which we are doing, we will be able to broaden that tax base and be able to improve the quality of life services that our residents deserve. So having said all that, I would ask you, please, go to the website, check it out. I will always take an honest, straightforward approach to all of the problems and won't back away from anything. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to all who participated in the forum,
Thank you.
the candidates, and the panelists. This program has been taped and will be replayed on the Community College public access channels and YouTube. The forum is adjourned.